Hi. So for part A of question 4, we are told that the line L1 has equation 4x plus 2y minus 3 equals 0. And we've been asked to find the gradient of L1. So what I'm going to do is rearrange the equation of this line to get it into the form y equals mx plus c. And then I know that the gradient is the coefficient of the x term in that equation, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minus 4x from both sides. So I'm left with 2y minus 3 equals minus 4x. And now what I can do is I can add 3 on both sides of this equation. So I'm left with 2y is equal to minus 4x. Add 3. Now I can just divide both sides by 2. So I'm left with y equals minus 2x. Add 3 over 2. And I'm just going to leave that 3 over 2 as a fraction rather than convert to a decimal. Okay, so now I know that the gradient is simply the coefficient of the x term. Okay, so I can therefore say m for gradient is minus 2. Okay, so the gradient of L1 is minus 2, and now we can move on to part B. So for part B, we're told the line L2 is perpendicular to L1 and passes through the point 2, 5. Find the equation of L2 in the form y equals mx plus c, where m and c are both constants. Okay, so if L2 is perpendicular to L1, you should know that the gradient, I'll just call it m2 so we don't get confused between the other m. You should know that the gradient is the negative reciprocal when two lines are perpendicular. Okay, so the gradient of L2 is a negative reciprocal of the gradient of L1. So m2, the gradient of L2, is simply minus 1 over the gradient of L1. Okay, so it's minus 1 over minus 2. So we know that is simply a half. Okay, and now we know the equation of a line is going to come in the form y equals mx plus c. And we know essentially x and y, so we can just sub them in along with m to find c, and then we can have all the things we need to know to find the equation of that line. Okay, so I'm simply going to substitute our y coordinate, which is 5, equals m, which we know now is a half, multiplied by our x coordinate, which is 2, plus c. Okay, so I know that a half multiplied by 2 is 1. And if I minus 1 from both sides of this equation, I can obtain the value of c, which you should find to be 4. Okay, so now I know 4 is the y-intercept, and I know a half is the gradient, so I can simply write out the equation of this line as y equals a half x plus 4. Okay, and that's the equation of L2. So that comes to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in question 5.